Welcome to Liminal Space, where we explore the thresholds of identity, culture, and experience. I am Matt Liu, one half of the hosting duo. Along with my friend Susan, we've created this podcast for those who find themselves navigating spaces in between, whether it's between cultures, worlds, or ideas. Each episode, we delve into the rich complexity of modern Chinese stories, as told by those who exist at its peripheries, diaspora voices, third culture kids, and individuals who embody the bridge between China and the world, and between tradition and innovation. Step into liminal space with us, where we find meaning in the transitions, the gray areas, and the moments of becoming.
Today, we have the pleasure of chatting with Ruby Pak, a fourth culture kid who transitioned from a traditional linear career path to building high-end restaurants in Shanghai, and who is about to open the only, to our knowledge, social fitness club in the city. So welcome to the podcast, Ruby. So great to have you here.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
Welcome.
thanks for having me here. Thank you. It's my first time doing a podcast, so I'm really honored to be here.
For sure. I think to start us off, Ruby, why don't you give us like a one-sentence description of what you currently do and in the city, and then we can move on to your more on your background and how that brought you here.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm currently living and working in Shanghai. I've been here since 6 years ago. And at the moment, I'm about to launch, as you mentioned earlier, to our knowledge, the first social fitness club in Shanghai. And the name is Hasa House. And we're scheduled to open around before the end of April. So that's all coming together. Very exciting.
Yeah, no, that's super cool, and I'm glad that that I'll be in the city next month to hopefully see your space, and for all of our listeners out there who are in Shanghai, feel free to look for information on Hasa House in our description, and we can. And hopefully you can check it out as well. Yeah, so all great. Thank you for the introduction, Ruby. So taking kind of a step back into what brought you to Shanghai for the past 7 years, and also to starting this, I think we should start off with like a kind of like a dive into your background and upbringing. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit more about where you grew up? What was it like navigating so many different cultures at an early age, and how that affected your mindset?
Yeah.
You're a fourth culture kid, I think.
Yeah.
So,
So it's a bit my background. Every time people ask me, where you're from, I always panic for a bit. I'm like, okay, what do I say? But
Relatable.
so pretty much both my mom and dad, they're from Beijing. But when they were young, they both moved to Hong Kong for work. And that's where they met and got married and had me. So I was born in Hong Kong, but shortly after I was born, I went back to Beijing briefly, and then I traveled back to Hong Kong for school. So I went to kindergarten in grade 1 in Hong Kong. And then the original plan was that I was going to stay in Hong Kong till I graduate high school pretty much. But there was like a little story in between. I remember clearly that it was the summer after grade 1. Usually, for summer breaks, we come back to Beijing to visit our grandparents and family.
yeah.
I remember like a week before, we had to go back to Hong Kong to start the new semester. I just remember feeling so like, depressed. I was like so anxious of going back. I'm like, okay, it almost felt like the end of the world to me, as a little kid. I was like,
Goodness.
why do I have this feeling? Yes, I was like dreading so much of like going back to school in Hong Kong. In hindsight now, I have a good, understanding of like what exactly happened during that time. I think I was almost like being very excluded at school as, the only mainlander back then in my grade. And my Cantonese wasn't good at all. Like I pretty much spoke Cantonese, no Cantonese. And so it was really hard for me to like fit in. As an example, when the kids are playing together at recess, I would pretend that I was busy with something. I would like pretend that I need to go see the teacher. I would pretend that I need to go to the bathroom. Like I would just hide in different corners to like avoid being seen, like
Yeah,
as this lonely kid.
I hear you.
So long story short, yes, I told my mom, I was like, hey mom, like I felt like, I wasn't really happy during this 1 year of school in Hong Kong. And it was also an international school where, people like to compare their backgrounds.
Mm.
So I told her, hey, can we just stay in Beijing? And being
Yeah.
such an open-minded mom as my mom, she, surprisingly said yes. She said, okay, you know what? Let's forget about all that like deposit we paid for tuition, forget about everything. Let's, stay in Beijing. I think my mom always told me like your health and happiness is like all I want for you.
Wow.
Until this
Shout out
day,
your
like I
mom.
really, yeah,
Oh
shout out
That's
yeah.
very
to
progressive.
like for sure, I definitely realized that I'm super privileged to have such a mom. Because I do realize that parents from that generation used to not tend to not be this open-minded. So
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for her. So yeah. And pretty much we decided to stay in Beijing, and I went to elementary school in Beijing for 5 years until grade 6.
Hmm.
Sorry, that's 4 years, 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And and then when I first came back to Beijing, I definitely experienced some cultural shock transitioning from an
Hmm.
international school in Hong Kong to a pretty local school in Beijing.
Okay.
And
What district was it in?
Oh yeah, that's the important question.
in Beijing,
Yeah.
it's Changping, which is like pretty
Oh, okay.
outskirts.
Oh yeah, that's far.
That's
Wow.
local. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
it's
never been there.
local. They say that they're bilingual school, but they're like a bilingual private school. So that's how the education system work in China. So pretty much there's international school, and then there's this school called like bilingual private school, which they still
Hmm.
brand themselves as private school, international school, but the education system follows strictly to more of the local
Right.
education system. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And during those 4 to 5 years, it was also a boarding school. So pretty much the cultural shock came because pretty much everything was like super orderly. So you would
Mm.
have exactly, 40 minutes to eat. And then everybody travels together in a line. You have to form a line every time you travel to places. Even if you're traveling
Hmm.
from restaurant or canteen to your dorm, or you're traveling from dorm to the classroom. Every time there's a little leader of each class, and then this
Yeah.
leader would like say some like 口号, like in Chinese 口号.
Uh-huh.
I forgot exactly what it was, but like they would count like 3, 2, 1. Like
Yeah, I remember that. And you're marching too. You're like with like you have to
yeah,
like march your hands like back and forth like and like
yeah.
yeah, I remember that.
But you also went to a local school in Beijing?
I did for 2 years when I was a
Oh
kid,
my god.
and it was in Haidianshu, and yeah, it was just like all the marching, all the like turn right, like look to your right. It's like a whole like military drill for first
Discipline,
graders.
right? Of first
Discipline.
graders.
Yeah, for sure. Nowadays, I can't imagine a kid like marching. And lines just like going to canteen to grab some lunch.
Yeah. Like, when are you going to need to use that skill? But yeah,
Well, who
Yeah.
knows? We're all getting drafted soon. Just kidding.
Yeah.
not me. I have flat
Uh,
feet, anyways.
yeah.
Wait, Ruby, before we
Fine.
go on about like your experience,
Mhm.
like your culture shock experience going to Beijing, I just want to ask a little bit more about like your early experience in Hong Kong, even though it's just
Right.
2 years. But
Yeah.
I guess surprisingly enough, for a podcast that's about like liminal spaces and people between cultures,
Mhm.
we haven't really talked about like bullying or being like, I guess, discriminated or stereotyped much in
Mhm.
past episodes.
Mhm.
And in
Yeah.
your case, I guess it's more interesting and slightly different to maybe what Susan and I experienced perhaps in like growing up in the US, because the people who are different from you are also like kind of similar to you in other ways, right? So for you, would you
Right.
say like the main thing that kind of made you feel excluded was like the language?
Yeah, I feel like, although it's just Cantonese versus Mandarin, that's definitely a big factor. Because actually,
Mm-hmm.
interesting enough, at that international school, you're actually not allowed to speak Cantonese. So you're only allowed to speak either Mandarin. Yeah, you're only allowed to speak either Mandarin or English.
Okay.
So I would,
Okay.
yeah. So, you know, because it's like banned from speaking Cantonese, like I guess it forms even a tighter bond between the
Mm,
people who do speak Cantonese, if that makes sense.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I've
So,
heard. Yeah, that's. I think also like in terms of like just today in Hong Kong in general, like there's so much Cantonese solidarity
mm,
precisely because they view like many people might view like Mandarin as like taking over in a sense.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's definitely that kind of like sentiment embedded in space
But
as well, for sure.
that's kind of crazy because you're like first graders, and yet this is already kind of a visible thing, right? That they had this, I guess,
Yeah,
pride or kind
I'm
of,
sure
yeah.
I'm sure they haven't like, as first graders, they probably don't read too much into it. But, as a general
Mm-hmm.
sense, like you want to be whatever's the majority, right? You want to fit into
Yeah.
whoever's the popular kid. And yeah, you don't want to
Yeah.
be excluded like I was.
No, for
I'm
sure. And
also,
also kids get very competitive with like class background, like who's driving you to school. I've heard stories of that from like my
Mhm.
international student friends too.
Or like
Yeah,
what
for
kind of a
sure.
car do you get dropped off in?
Exactly. And also like, after school, like, there would be like lines of cars waiting outside and the parents, they talk among themselves as well. And definitely that has a huge influence on like even just first grader kids.
Mm.
And yeah, I just remember not having the best time during that 1 year
Mm-hmm.
of going to school in Hong Kong. Yeah, and the school had this policy where only kids from public companies, like the parents have to come from like certain backgrounds. You're either a celebrity or you like
Mm.
heavily invest in the school or you like
Mm.
you're from a public company background, then you can join
Mm-hmm.
the school. So already like the school system I felt was a little bit toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they're
pretty
trying to
crazy.
filter
Wow.
families, right?
Exactly, yeah, which I don't exactly agree with these days. And if I ever had
Mm.
kid in the future, I would not send them to this kind of education system for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And so I guess like you had a pretty bad time those couple years. Moving to Beijing, you had another a culture shock. It's kind of right. Chongping is also not like a very central area, and you said it's a local school. So what were I guess some of the aspects of the culture shock that you had moving to Beijing and living and studying there?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's the boarding school aspect, right? So I just remember, every single Sunday afternoon, I would have to like, ride a 2 hour long car ride back to school. It's super
Mm-hmm.
depressing also. And then, be separated from my parents and just be put in this like group. And then we just like do everything together. Everything is like every single day the routine are the same and it's like very
Mm-hmm.
very closely monitored by all of our like teachers and supervisors, so it's very
Mm-hmm.
like singular, if that makes sense. Like we didn't really
Yeah,
have many spaces to show our like personalities. It's like not a very individualistic,
sure.
so that's like definitely, yeah, that's a first. You can't be too different from the group.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
where the marching to,
The
right? You
marching and there everyone's always like kind of looking over your shoulder. Like if you mess up, if you like didn't drink all the milk in your cup, they'd be like really out to get you.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
yeah,
Yes.
Aren't a lot of
not very
aren't a lot of
enjoyable.
people like lactose intolerant? And they still be forcing kids to drink milk.
I was forced to drink
Anyways,
milk when I was like a kid, but anyways, that's a core
okay.
memory.
Oh
Yeah.
my
I
god.
mean, yeah, talking about milk, I actually have this memory of So they do kind of like only have limited options of like what you eat in the canteen. And you're also given a limited time to eat, like, and you also can't waste food. So all of these like structure around like your life is like, that's definitely a shock to me, right? From just coming from Hong Kong where everything's so free and you bring your own lunch and everything and you go back home for dinner, right? So that was definitely like a huge cultural shock. And I do remember one time I got food poisoned by this canteen soy milk.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you know how like Chinese people love to drink soy milk in the morning as breakfast?
Yeah.
I remember one time a bunch of kids actually got food poisoned. And then I was one of the worst because I drank a lot. And I remember I had to take the final exams at the hospital with my IV inserted.
Oh my God.
So
goodness.
They still
that
make you take the exam. That's a very China thing. I'm not surprised.
yeah,
That's
also a
crazy.
cultural shock.
I wouldn't be surprised if the soy milk turned into like douzhi because it's Beijing.
Oh gosh, don't bring it up, Matt. Oh no.
Okay.
With some temperature control, it could have been douzhi, but you know, too bad it wasn't douzhi. Yeah.
Anyways, okay.
Yeah.
So then, so you were there in this very structured conformist environment for 4 to 5 years. And then tell us about what brought you to Canada and to go to school there, and what was that transition like?
Yeah, so at around that time, my mom and my dad, they're thinking of immigrating to Canada. Because that was kind of like the popular thing to do among parents that generation. You know, they see how nice it is and they've kind of made it in their careers and they now want to like, you know, see what's out there and maybe immigrate to a different country to provide a better education for their kids. And that's also around when my sister was born. So pretty much my sister, you know, she went to school there. Yeah. She's almost like we call it CBC, Canadian born Chinese. But she was also born in Hong Kong, but went to school there since kindergarten. So naturally, you know, also went with them. And I think I was, you know, just entering my teenage years at around that time. So I was like around 12, about to become 13. And I would say that episode of, or that period of my life is definitely like the most influential even till today in terms of shaping who I am today. So long story short, I used to be a very outspoken kid, you know, back in junior school and, you know, just all the way, you know, growing up. I love to be this like center of attention. I love to like order people around. I love to be like the little leader in the group. So back in Beijing, I don't know if Susan, you experienced this, but there's this like 大队长 system. So you would like, so there's only like one person in student union leader,
like student, like kind of like just like a student in charge, low key.
Yeah, it's like a little like 官员.
So you were the 大队长.
So yeah, I was the 大队长. So I loved like, you know, ordering people around. I loved doing all that, be the center of attention. My dream was to become an actress growing up. So I love attention. I love performing. I love public speaking. But then when I went to Canada, that's when all of my confidence just went like, it just gone like almost overnight. I felt as soon as I entered school there. So when I first went to school there, I was in this, I want to say like, there's a lot of Chinese people in Vancouver. So I went to Vancouver, but in this neighborhood, in the neighborhood I was in, I would say it's definitely more white than Chinese. So I was like the west side of Vancouver, and it's like a public school as well. Everyone's like, even if you were to be an Asian, like you probably grew up in Canada. So I'm like one of the only few like foreign like FOBs, like foreigners. And at the time, my English wasn't good actually, because I just went from a local school in Beijing for 5 years, so my English was terrible. Like I could understand, but I can't really like be like a bestie with a white girl, you know. we don't speak
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
language. I don't
I don't
watch
think
it.
I can be a bestie with a white girl even now, but go on.
Yeah, exactly. So like even I speak fluent English. I don't really share the same like interest, and I don't watch the same TV shows. So that was
Yeah.
super tough for me. And I know you guys asked me like, oh, how is it navigating like bullying in back in Hong Kong? I would say like in Canada is like 10 times worse because
Oh, okay.
like
Yeah.
do we not speak
Oh.
the same language? We don't look the same. And I
Mhm.
just traveled a long distance to be in this environment where I have totally no clue. And at the same time, I also had to help my mom. I think this is the part where I think it's pretty common for a lot of like, I guess, first generation immigrants where the kids really have to help out their parents in
Oh
terms
yeah.
of
Yeah.
navigating all like,
Forms,
Everything.
taxes,
everything
Phone
like
sign
calls.
here. Yeah.
phone calls, going to the grocery shop, like setting up a bank account, like I don't know, getting a driver's license, all and
Mm,
everything. And I was just 13, 12. So I kind
yeah.
of have to like my personality aside and just try to like do my best to fit in and do my best to help my parent out here. And my sister was like,
hmm
I think in kindergarten, right? So that kind of like
So
flushed
she's
all my
chilling.
my sister is
So
chilling.
you were
Yeah.
bestowed with elder daughter syndrome, which many of
hmm
Exactly.
us can relate to.
Yeah, I'm
You
sure,
grew up so quickly.
I'm sure a lot of
Yeah,
listeners.
no, it's traumatic. I think like even looking back, I'm just like some of the habits you have now or some of the triggers you have now, if you look back, it's from like being a parent to your parent or like that immigrant, that
hmm
experience.
Fend for
Yeah, I
yourself.
think exactly. I think for the most part, I kind of like forgot. I think during like teenage years, in developmental psychology, it says that it's supposed to be this phase in your life where you find who you are, you find your interest, and you find your
hmm
friend group. But I think looking back, I wasn't able to do much of that. I think all I was trying to
Mm,
do is just fit into whatever like other people liked and whatever opportunity I had to fit in. So it wasn't really like me finding who I am. It's more like me trying to like shape myself so other people will like me, if that makes sense.
yeah. 100%. That's, I think, similar to my experience as well.
Hmm.
Even though I
Hmm.
like grew up in the US from basically day one, but still it's something that you have to deal with unless you like live in the Bay Area. Then, well, I guess there's a different dominant culture. People at least look similar to you, but there's a fair bit of assimilation going on too. And that's follows you around wherever you go. I had lots of questions, but I guess the main one is, so from sixth grade to then the end of high school, you were in Canada. Is that correct?
Yes, from sixth grade to the end of high school, I was in Canada. And I actually
Okay.
transferred a public school to private school. And
Okay.
actually, that was a pretty difficult journey because private schools in Vancouver are like very difficult to get in if you
Uh-huh.
if you are a foreigner. If you weren't like if
Okay.
you didn't grow up in Vancouver in Canada. So
Yeah. Oh my
I remember
goodness.
yeah,
You're just like changing systems like every few years. Like that's
Yeah, that
gotta
yeah,
be
must have been so
constant
difficult.
survival mode, I feel like.
exactly.
Which makes sense why you're so able to, I guess, deal with stress from what I know.
Yeah, I'm actually not that great in dealing with stress. But yeah, I try to hide them usually because I don't want to create trouble for others, which also came from, right? Like
Mm.
from me trying to please other people and try to not make other people mad at me.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
something that
And to
I,
make our parents not
yeah,
worry too much because they're also dealing their
exactly.
own things, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're super on point with that statement. I think a lot of that does come from me trying to like prove to my mom that I can do it myself. I don't need your help.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
independent. I don't need anybody, which is not that all that healthy. I think you should be able to show signs of weaknesses when it's needed, and you should be able
Yeah.
to ask for help and know when to ask for help. And this is definitely
Yeah.
something I'm
Definitely.
actively working on, trying to reconcile with myself and like, be okay to like show weakness.
Yeah, same.
Well,
Yes,
definitely tough. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. So yeah, I was in Canada all throughout middle and high school, and I transferred to the private school, and actually it was really tough for me to like get accepted to the private school. So one of the condition was that the principal at the time like wanted me to have this almost like a tutor always like beside me even when I went to school. So imagine
Okay,
how that would
weird.
be. 'Cause, like
That's like,
people would think you're
Is that
trouble.
like is that like discrimination? Like was it because you were like Chinese or
I think looking back, I don't think, it was a good decision from the school's end. I don't think any school should even have this kind of condition. Like, you either accept this kid or you just don't, right? I think it would have been better if I just didn't get accepted. So
yeah,
I
because that
got
made you like a target too. Like you were all automatically different.
exactly. So, as a 13-year-old kid, like I didn't read too much into it. I kind of just accepted what was given. I was even happy. I was so on top of the world when I got the acceptance letter. I was like, I finally
hmm
achieved, what I set to do. I like ran to my mom. I'm like, look, I did this. But
yeah.
yeah, like I definitely also didn't really have a good time pretty much for
Mhm.
the years in high school at this private school. Luckily it was just for this first year I was followed by this
Just for
tutor.
1 year.
Just for 1 year.
hmm
Yeah.
That would have been tough for sure. Yeah. But now like I guess
Mhm.
adding more to your Rolodex of varied school experiences, then you spent 4 years in this private high school and then you went to college in the US and eventually to grad school in the UK. So that's
Mhm.
another like two different cultures to kind of navigate. So could you like briefly tell us about your experiences there? And then we can kind of transition on to how that brought you to your current career today in China.
Yeah. So the decision to go to US for college was pretty much dead set ever since like I want to say like grade 9 because I guess at my school everybody was super competitive. Like you have to do SAT. You have no way out. If you don't do SAT, you're viewed as a kid who has lower ambition. You're like
Okay.
even for like some of the top
Dang.
schools like Canada, like U of T, UBC, those are seen as a backup
Dang.
option for
Okay.
us. So it was a cutthroat community, especially among the parents, Asian parents as well.
Oh
And like,
yeah.
yeah.
hmm
So I had really no choice. But, even for myself, I guess I really wanted to see what's out there. And I guess that's kind of like been a part of my personality now that I'm so used to just being on the go all the time. I don't mind experiencing like something new. So, you know, I wanted to, go live in a completely different country by myself. Also
hmm
because I came from this private school in Vancouver where the community is also so tight. So I also felt a little bit sick of it and I wanted to break out from that,
hmm
which led to me going to Boston University, where it's a huge campus and it's very much integrated into the city. That's what I liked about it. So UBC was not a choice at all.
Yeah, no,
hmm
BU. You guys have better food options too. You guys are like right on like that strip.
Yeah, exactly. It's like right between Alston and
Mm-hmm.
Prudential
Yeah.
Center.
I still go to Alston for Asian food. It's like the
Yeah.
only decent spot in this little, New England town.
Exactly, for sure, for sure.
hmm
Yeah. So we were talking about, me going to college in the US and I have to say, like, I really did enjoy my years in college. Finally, I felt like it was
Yes. Yes.
finally,
I was just waiting to hear that because it seemed like
Seem like you
these
haven't been
places
enjoying
all
school
just
that
like,
much.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Although, I can't say 100% that there's no regrets of my college years.
hmm
I do regret not joining more, kind of like interest clubs and joining more career fairs and kind of learning more about like my strengths and weaknesses and what I want to do in the future. Maybe I had a little bit too much fun because I
That's
finally was
good.
able to break free.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So exactly. So I kind of thrived in like this more diverse community with a lot more people, and you're not really stuck in a tight bubble where you constantly feel the pressure to conform and to please others and to fit in. Because finally you're being put in this space where nobody knows each other. Like you can just be yourself. At least you can learn who you are finally for once. So I
Yeah.
enjoy my years
Without
in the
judgment.
US.
And what did you study in college?
I switched quite a few times for my major. I started with psychology, and then I transferred to communications actually. So I studied
Mm,
advertising and communications, and I also minored in business as
Mm,
well.
okay.
Because
yeah.
I remember all of my best grades come from finance and accounting. So I was like, okay, why not easy A's? Let me just minor in this. So
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
for sure, for sure. So,
yeah.
I know like one topic that you brought up was that you throughout like your earlier years, you've been kind of on this like linear traditional career path.
Hmm.
And you mentioned
Yeah.
like, okay, you minored in finance and in college. And yeah, and so I guess, what were your goals as a college student? And also relating to like why you decided to go to grad school in the UK, like how, yeah, tell us more about that before we move along further.
Yeah, I would have to say if there's one thing I really regret in my college years is not exploring more. Not in terms of like making more friends, that kind of way, but more in terms of like internally exploring more about myself or get to know myself a little bit more, right? Because all these years growing up, I missed the chance of like knowing who I am because I constantly had to fit in. So in
Yeah.
college, although I was having time, I think I definitely fell short in terms of like, learning about myself. So
Mm,
that's why I switched majors a bunch of times and I didn't know what to do.
mm-hmm.
And business is just such an Asian thing to do, no? Like
Mm,
even
Yeah.
I remember back in high school, like I remember like clearly we had this college consultant in our high school. And I remember in the very first session, she kind of just assumed, she was like, "Oh, you're Ruby, right? So you picked business as your top major, right?" So
wow.
that was kind of,
What?
I think that was kind of ruminating. Like, to be honest, I got pretty angry after that session. I was like, "You don't know me. We never talked before. Why do you think I
Yeah.
want to go to this? Like, who told
Yes.
you?"
So unprofessional. But
Yeah.
yeah, I also picked business eventually in undergrad
Mhm.
because I was also very unsure of what I wanted to do. And I did
Exactly.
psychology as a minor, which is more what I
Mm.
wanted
Mm,
to do.
y'all
But you
switched.
can't graduate with the psych degree if you have first generation Asian parents, right?
My
Slight joke,
parents
but
wanted me to study business. They
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah. So I'm sure all three of us share the same like commonality, right? Like you just naturally lean towards a business major because I guess because I didn't really understand who I was, so I just listened to what everybody else was telling me. So naturally
same.
picked yeah, I picked business. I didn't mind it. So after I graduated from Boston University, I then again wanted to experience more like other countries now. Like I want to, okay, what if I try to live in the UK? So that's why I applied for a business school in UK in London. So I went to London Business School for my master's.
Mm,
Pretty much right after graduation. Actually, right after I graduated, it was 2019, and then it went into COVID
mm-hmm.
and I had a gap year in between, just studying for GRE, and yeah, ultimately I went to LBS for masters.
Mm.
Um,
What was that like? I have a friend who went there and says it's quite diverse. And it's a school that doesn't have like undergraduate degrees, right? Like it's only postgraduate.
yeah, it's only postgraduate. It's yeah, more I guess career focused. It's more
Hmm.
specialized.
So
Yeah,
is that
so
Was that experience kind of enough, or was it kind of, did it help you get a sense for what your first like professional experience might be?
I guess from two different ways of speaking. So first is like in terms of the environment and the friends I was able to make. I would say the London Business School environment, it was most fitting for me because there's a lot more other like third culture kids. As you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
before, it's a lot more diverse versus, Boston University. I think most of my friends are Chinese because it's easy for you to like just hang out with the Chinese kid, right? Because there's so many different communities in Boston anyway, so you naturally just lean towards hanging out with your own people. But I think in terms of like making friends, I had the best time in the UK because everybody was like third kid and coming from different backgrounds, and it was definitely the most like academically and also intellectually stimulating for me
Mm-hmm.
that year in London for sure. But I think the only regret or like the only unfortunate thing is it was during COVID. So we had to go to school. We could only go to school 3 times per week. And even then, there was a lot of like social distancing at school.
Okay.
So we would have to wear masks, and there's like limited time to socialize. And we were supposed to be sent on this exchange program to a different country.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, it didn't happen, right? Because of COVID. So,
Okay.
yeah. And in terms of career wise, it's very singular as well. So you either do investment banking or consulting.
Okay.
I think in
I
the
see.
school stat, it was like, I think over 80% of the people did either that or that after they graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, I also chose consulting. And I remember just doing cases and cases and cases. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get into my top choices. There was a hire freeze at the time, but I think
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not cutthroat enough for sure. So that's when I decided to also finish up my semester, the last semester back in China, because London at the time was crazy bad for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
It
I see.
was lockdown after lockdown, and because I guess people were more free there, right? They're not used to being conforming to a system, even
You
though
gotta
they're
get to the
supposed to.
pub no matter what.
No matter what, you gotta host those
No matter
Where
what.
house.
Americans get it from.
Yeah, and it was like all Christmas. It was like a lot of festivals, like a lot of holidays coming up. So it was hard for
Right.
people to like keep their distance for sure. So I pretty much caught the last flight back to Hong Kong. And then right after that, I think there was like another virus that's like a upgraded virus or something at the time in London that just happened. I don't know if you guys remember, but I pretty much took the last flight back, and I had to quarantine for like the longest time. So I quarantined in Hong Kong for 2 weeks, and then I quarantined back in Beijing for another month.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's
pretty much a
crazy.
month and a half.
Wow. That did happen to some friends of mine too. I was lucky
How
I
did
only
you pass
quarantined for
the
2 weeks.
time? What'd you
Yeah.
do, Ruby?
Obviously, watch Korean drama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, watch
There
some
are lots of
soap
them.
opera. That's a great way to pass time. But I also had to
That'll do
take
it.
a midterm exam actually in my little quarantine room in Beijing. That was not fun. I had to ask my aunt to send over a Wi-Fi box, so then there's better connection to take my exam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was some tough
That's crazy.
times. Yeah.
So you got out of quarantine, and then did you kind of start looking for a local role after that? And what happened?
Yeah, so before I came back, I already got an internship in Shanghai. So that's also one of the reasons why I decided to come back. Because actually, like, although I was from Beijing, for some reason, like, even as a kid, I always had this dream of like working in Shanghai and living in Shanghai. Because Shanghai, to a Beijing, always felt like this bougie version of China.
No,
Yeah,
that's so
yeah.
relatable. Like,
Yeah.
I love Beijing. I'm like the biggest Beijing fan, but like Shanghai is just like it's like metropolitan. It's like
Mm.
it's like pretty clean, like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, diverse, relatable.
Yeah, for sure. So ultimately, finally, to some degree, I went to my dream job or dream life. So I did
Yeah.
this internship before I graduated, and I just stayed after in Shanghai ever since until now. So yeah,
Mm.
I got this internship at this luxury marketing firm where we would manage different accounts such as like WeChat official, Redbook, and also Weibo and Instagram for these luxury brands. We also push out different product launch campaigns if they have any new launches. And we create marketing calendars for these brands. I would say I definitely learned a lot for marketing. I didn't really specialize in marketing back in business school, but
Mm-hmm.
definitely a learning curve. But I felt like I've had enough of, I feel like for marketing, there's only so much you can do, right? I like the creativity part, but I wasn't part of the creative team. Because usually for our agency, you're separated into either the account team or creative team.
Mm.
And I was part of this account team where it's mostly like you're the middleman between your client and your like internal teams. So I felt like
Yeah.
I wasn't learning anymore. And at that time, I was really thinking about, okay, what do I want to do for my life? Because I never really looked inwards. I never understood who I am,
Mm.
growing up. So for the first time in my life, I had to ask this like crucial question, like, oh my God, I remember feeling like really miserable. I was like, okay, like people told me I need to do business. I need to be good at finance. I went to business school. I went to a pretty top business school in the world, but I didn't get into consulting. I didn't get into like
Mm-hmm.
MBBs. So what next? Like, what is my life,
Right.
right? A
Yeah.
huge crisis. I was like, how come I studied so hard all my life? I work extra hard than like other people because I had to like move so many places and like do so many exams. And now I'm here
Mm-hmm.
like in this part of my life where I don't know what to do. Someone tell me, but nobody is there to tell you anymore. So that was my
Yeah.
first experience stepping into adulthood, I guess. So when I asked this question, I asked myself, okay, what was my biggest interest as a teenager? And it was like cooking and baking.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, my family also came from a restaurateur family. So they started their own restaurant group when they were young. So I got influenced a lot by them for sure. So at the time when I was like stuck in this marketing agency, I was like, what if I just open a French bistro in Shanghai? Because at the time there was a lot of bistros coming, like opening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
remember like writing these like, yeah, I remember writing a bunch of like business pitch, but I have no investors to share with. Like I just wrote them out of like anxiety, I guess. Like literally late at
Oh,
night, I
okay.
was just like doing research and writing some business pitch just in
Oh my
case like,
God.
I really want to quit my job. And yeah, it was some miserable times. And one time I was chatting with a friend and then she worked for this like commercial real estate company. It's a pretty big conglomerate. And then she was like, okay, if you want to open restaurants, why don't you understand a little bit more about the retail space? And because they said like rent and, real estate is quite a key aspect of any sort of like traditional business. So
Yeah.
I applied for this management trainee role at this commercial real estate company and I got in. Uh, So I spent 1 year there and I definitely learned a lot about the commercial real estate space in Shanghai. I learned about the
Mm-hmm.
market. I learned about how to negotiate rents, how to, get a deal signed, and what
Yeah.
are the different, commercial retail, like, brands in Shanghai that are like doing really well versus others that are not doing so well. So that
Mm-hmm.
was really insightful. But at that time, I also experienced a lot of like toxic company culture because the company was
Mm-hmm.
very Chinese. It was almost, it's actually interesting enough, it's owned by a Thai company. So the company I applied for the management trainee program was a Thai company. But a fun fact is that they're actually the first foreign company to enter China. I think like 100 years
Oh,
ago or
dang.
something. It's crazy.
That's
But
crazy.
they, yeah, they started out being a catering and food company, food supply, but now they're a huge conglomerate, so that's why they also own like commercial real estates.
I see. Okay.
So I was put in this management trainee program, and the company is very much like in Chinese we call 国企, right? It's
Oh, okay.
Chinese owned enterprise.
Yeah,
And
state-owned company.
state-owned enterprise. Yes. So the environment was very toxic. You would have to go on business dinners with your boss, and whatever your boss tells you to do, you have to do. And you can't leave until your boss leaves the office. I remember clearly one night, I don't know, maybe my boss got a little bit lonely. Like, she just messaged me and she was like, hey, do you want to like go on this like karaoke app? And then like, we can do karaoke together on that. Like, that was during quarantine.
Oh,
Like, the lockdown is not. It was like super late
people
at
get
night. But
lonely.
then, yeah. And then I just thought to myself, I don't think I want to be someone like my boss. So why do I want to continue to stay at this company?
Yeah, sorry.
I think that's
It's
usually
not
how,
in my contract.
yeah. Yeah. So, and then I remember like every single decision had to go through such a long process to get approved. You would have to first be approved by your supervisor's manager's like director or vice president, and then the CEO office. So it was like
Okay.
everything we did was super slow. And I remember just like, I'm grateful that I was able to get a lot of insight about the retail space in Shanghai and learn a little bit about the market here. But again, I reached a bottleneck. I was like, okay, I think I need to get out of this system. It was too toxic. I don't want to drink with my boss. I don't want to sing karaoke with her late at night. So, right around the same time, I experienced the 30-day lockdown in Shanghai. So it was a perfect time for me to look into new jobs. And that's ultimately what I did at the time.
Yeah, well, glad that you had that realization early on. I think so many people just get stuck with suboptimal careers just for the sake of like stability or the a lack of a courage to move on. But yeah, it seems like you're very good at moving yourself, pivoting yourself into new things. So now I'm curious, so what are some of the obviously you shared a lot of the perspectives you gained from that experience. So as you're moving into as you're looking for a new, what were certain things you wanted to look for in particular, and what did you end up going into?
Yeah, for sure. I think coming out from a very toxic, I guess, office politics environment, I think the people is definitely something that I really value. I think people is sometimes even more important than the actual job you do. By people, there's a few things I'm looking for. It's like whether or not I'm hanging out, like I'm surrounded with people who are like-minded and or maybe they're even like smarter than me. Like maybe they have like skill sets that I don't have. Like, can the people around me make me grow? That's one thing I really care about. Second is like, can we like, be respectful of each other? And maybe even better, like be friends even after work. And luckily, I did find a company the culture was amazing. Even till this day, I have a lot of friends from this company. A shout out to Chu, Cynthia, like Haiyue, I love you all, and Dongkai. They're like my besties like now in Shanghai. Yeah, I think it's so important. I remember like going to work, I was so happy every day, and we would like turn around to each other and we would like, have work breaks, and we would think about where to go for dinner after work. It was almost like back to campus life, back to college life. So, and this firm is a UK owned expert networking firm. So what we did was we sourced experts for investment firms and consulting firms. So that's kind of like a circle back to kind of like closer to what I wanted to do initially, graduating from business school. So we would take on a lot of like, solving business problems, and because my clients are are actually directly like from these consulting firms that I wanted to work for. So it was great. The job itself was really tough though. It was a lot of hours, and because you're technically a 乙方, so you're not a 甲方, you're not you're a 丙方, you're not a 甲方, you're not a 乙方. You're this third party person. You have to navigate both your clients being the consulting firms and experts being like the people you source and you negotiate and you discuss and talk to. So it was kind of like, and every single day is super fast paced. So we would own like 5 to 10 projects even on the same day. For example, like, today I learn about the healthcare equipment industry. And then in the afternoon, I learn about the, retail, like female, this like female retail brand company. And then next day you learn about, I don't know, a steel company. So it was like very exciting, like a lot of business projects coming in, very fast paced. So I was actually thinking of just having the rest of my linear career finally set in this company. Because I was having a great time. Yeah.
So
And then
what happened afterwards that made you want to then again jump out and try something super different again?
Yeah. So even till this day, like sometimes when I'm having a tough time, I actually do question myself, like, why didn't I just stay at this company where I was kind of enjoying the work and enjoying the people? But, it was too good of an opportunity to say no to, or like it was something that I know I will for sure regret in 5 years' time if I didn't take this opportunity. So the story being is that, so my boyfriend actually connected me to this investor guy, and this guy is in tech. He has nothing to do with traditional businesses, but he's always wanting to open a restaurant. Like he's really passionate about food and beverage. And he actually initially invited my boyfriend to join his startup. My boyfriend actually recommended me because he knows that I love like F&B. I used to want to open a restaurant myself. I have a bunch of business pitch lined up, ready to go.
What a good boyfriend. Shout out, Henry.
So I met with this investor, and then we had a great first chat, and it was like pretty much yes from the get-go. He was like, hey, like rather than finding someone who's super experienced in the restaurant space, I'd rather find somebody who I trust, even if you don't have a lot of experience. I want to find someone who's passionate, who I can trust. I think now coming from a like business owner standpoint, I get exactly what he means. So I was given this opportunity to help him open a restaurant. And now the restaurant has been open for 2 years. And actually, March is our 2nd year anniversary already. So if you're in Shanghai, please go check it out. Sorry, soft ad insert here.
No, for sure. Share it. We'll have the link.
What's the name? You can say this name out loud, I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the name is 福和光酒家. In English, it's a Canto spelling. So Fuk Wo Guang. Yeah, please share the link. It's probably, I'm not biased, it really is the most authentic Hong Kong style Cantonese cuisine in Shanghai. So at the time, the investor pretty much just acquired a team, and they were closing doors at one of their Pudong locations that was open for like more than 10 years. Almost 20 years, actually. But my investor felt like it was such a shame to have the team close. So we pretty much acquired the same team and decided to start our own brand to kind of like pass the tradition down and, keep the like the craft going, because they really a lot of like craftsmanship in this team. So yeah, I experienced opening a restaurant from scratch pretty much, which is always what I wanted to do since I came to Shanghai. So how can I say no to this although I did have like a long period of time where I went back and forth with my decision. I was like, okay, is this the right decision that I'm pivoting again? Like I finally found a community which I love. I don't mind the job as well. But I think ultimately no decisions are right or wrong. is just a
Mm.
life experience. And
Yeah.
that's what I have myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So like I guess the process of building a restaurant from scratch is very difficult. We've talked to a lot of other friends in the food and beverage scene, and the Shanghai scene. Maybe it was a little bit different back then, but nowadays seems to be more and more cutthroat every day. Uh, and so you, I guess, like coming into this project and not having like restaurant specific experiences in the beginning, like what were some of the biggest challenges that you kind of remember having to deal with in helping this restaurant become, sustainable and successful?
Yeah. I guess I'll share a little bit about what happened when I first joined the team. So pretty much at the time, the team only consisted of a general manager and a head chef. That was all. It was just two very, I guess, wise, very experienced individuals
Mm-hmm.
who have been working in the restaurant space for like, I want to say 40, 50 plus years actually. So they're actually
Oh
almost
my.
like they're turning 70. The other one is already 70. So I do look up to them a lot. They're great. They have a lot of industry knowledge. But I was 26 years old. So we had
Mm-hmm.
like a 40 plus like age gap in between. And I was just thrown in the
Yeah.
group by my sister. And then my investor introduced me as like she came from business school and she has some, commercial real estate knowledge and marketing knowledge. And I think you guys will be great. Like, yeah, like let's do it. Let's open a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant. The investor definitely didn't help out a lot, like I mean, what else could he have done, right? But I was thrown into this group and the team of the two, and then they've been working together for a long time as well. So they're almost like a duo. So they're a group themselves, and I was the outsider, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
yes,
Yeah.
I did need insider knowledge, industry knowledge. So yeah, I ultimately they were not fond of me for sure. We had a bunch of
Yeah.
disagreements. For example, vendor selection, which print company to choose, like which branding company to choose. They have their pool of like choices already. Like they've been in this industry for so long, they know a lot of people. But I always felt like the companies that they found were a bit too old school. So I felt like in this day and age, like we should, yeah, we want to follow the tradition, we want to protect the legend, but like we still want to like I guess attend better to the current market and the current audience. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of like conflict between the old and new. So I remember vividly one day in office, I think we pretty much in the beginning month, we barely talked with each other. Only times where
Mm-hmm.
we had to talk, we had to, we talked. But one day in office, I remember we just had a conflict of like, I think choosing a vendor, and they spoke in Cantonese to each other. They were like, why is this young lady here? She must not be able to find, she probably can't find a job or something.
Oh my
And she's
gosh.
probably a
Mm,
four
yeah.
dad. So four dad means like you're just a
Yeah, you're second gen rich.
second gen rich kid. Like what is she doing here? Like if she can't find a job, just go look herself. Like why is she thrown in this? Like she's probably just some rich kid. Like
The
so they were like,
disrespect.
yeah. And I was sitting in the office, but they thought I couldn't understand Cantonese because they thought I was a
Oh my
mainlander.
god.
But
Oh
little
my
did they
god.
know, born in
Did
Hong
you
Kong,
respond in Cantonese?
so I couldn't even. I remember when I heard it, I think that experience is something that was traumatizing for sure because I couldn't even say anything. I remember just like this really heavy feeling, you know, in my heart. It was almost like
Mm,
you were told in terrible news all of a sudden. Like you don't know how to react. It was a feeling
yeah.
when I had when I got the letter from my dream school that saying that I didn't get accepted. It was that kind of feeling, It was like
Mhm.
something just dropped.
Mhm.
And I didn't know what to
Yeah.
do. And then I remember 10 minutes later, I wanted to cry. So I just went
Mhm.
home and I remember crying all the way, like like on the subway. Uh, it was just tears coming out like crazy. And it's like, I look like I don't have emotion on my face. Like I look like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not feeling anything, but tears just keep on coming out. So
Mm-hmm.
almost like my mind and my body is not even aligned anymore. So I didn't know how to
Yeah.
feel, how to understand what I feel. So, obviously I share this emotion with my boyfriend, and he encouraged me to kind of like, bring this up to them and have a talk with them. You can't just let this sit and let them bully you like that continuously in the office
Mm-hmm.
space. You have to stand up for yourself. So I think it was like after a few days, I asked them, hey, like, do you guys have some time? Let's have a talk, have a chat. So one
Mm-hmm.
day after work, I got them into this office space, this meeting space, and I just brought it up to them. I was like, hey, by the way, what you guys were saying the other day in Cantonese, I understood. And I had to confront them. I was like, hey, I'm only here to help. If you're not happy with whatever, like, please feel free to like bring up to me. And I would love to take any constructive feedback. But I think because we need to work towards the same goal ultimately, we should
Mm-hmm.
feel like we're in the same team. I'm not your enemy. I'm not trying to take anything away from you. Um, so let's try to be a same team and work towards the same goal. So I did
Mm-hmm.
confront them. After that episode, I definitely felt really freed. And even the relation between us three were like definitely a lot better. But
Mm-hmm.
I won't lie but say that like I still feel some of that experience even when I enter the restaurant sometimes. Like I do have like a certain level of like PTSD from that. It's hard.
Yeah.
I feel like if
But
someone says something to you in your face like that, it's hard to not remember and
for
hold
sure.
grudges. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is all relative to all your other experiences growing up too. I'm sure that like probably triggered some of the experiences of like not fitting in, of moving to a new setting and having to readjust to that all over
Yeah.
again, and to be discredited in a place that you feel like you should feel safe. No, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely not a great
Or just to be
experience. And
given like a fair shot, right? At least. But
mhm,
so often that's not the default, right? So much
Yeah.
respect to you for confronting them and talking to them about it. And of course, yeah, that can't solve everything, but seems like given the circumstances, you made the best out of it, and the restaurant is doing well, and in part due to your work, right?
Yeah. And I would encourage anyone listening, like if you're having like similar experience in the office space, like stand up for yourself, like speak up, like confront them. Not only do you feel more powerful yourself, but it's also more helpful in making sure that, in the future you have a better relation with whoever this is. And it's better for work wise, yourself wise. So do have the courage to confront.
Yeah.
for sure, that's great advice for anyone listening. And I guess how's the restaurant doing now? Like it's been 2 years, right, since you built this from scratch, and it's still going strong.
Yeah, so it's still going strong and we're still growing month to month. So I'm really, really glad. I think ultimately I have to say the food is amazing and then have to credit a lot to the kitchen team. I didn't have the best, relation with the head chef, but like he's still really, really great. He has expertise.
Mm.
He has the knowledge. So I do still respect our GM and head chef. So no more bad blood between us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think being in the restaurant space for 2 years as a young female, in China, I definitely gained a lot more power and kind of like reconsult with my younger self a lot as well and
Mm-hmm.
be less of a pleaser. Don't care as
Mm-hmm.
much about like what these, middle-aged uncles in the space say. Like, no,
Oh
like
yeah.
I respect you guys. If you don't respect me, that's your problem. Let's just get the job done. Like yeah.
That's
I mean, what can
amazing.
you do?
Yeah, no, you
Yeah.
gotta stand up
Yeah.
to what do they call it? The 老登, like yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta
Dung
really
energy.
assert yourself. 登
Yeah.
energy.
And I realized another like trick is if they want to play hard, you also play hard with them. If they want to play it soft, you play it soft. So it's helpful to kind of always switch ways of communications with different people and just let yourself go a little bit. You're at the end of the day not the most important thing. Like they don't even care at the end of the day, right? Who you are. So just get the job done. And after being 2 years in this business, I do also realize that the head chef and GM definitely has more respect for me because you really show through action and result. So yeah, just be patient.
Yeah. Yeah, no, all great takeaways. And I'll have to note down the name of the restaurant later and visit next time
We
I'm
should
in
go
town.
next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, let's have our get together there next time.
Yeah.
Well,
for
if you're
sure.
okay with it, Ruby, if you don't get that.
No. That's
Uh,
like, yeah. Now every time like people ask me, can I go with you? They would like listen to this episode and be like, oh, I hope you don't want PDS. No, yeah. I
this
still enjoy
story,
the food there.
story honestly feels like it could be like an anime or like a movie, some
You
like
have
food
such a
related one where you
cool experience.
take on these two
No, I know
like
that
wise
the 2
grandpas
years.
and they're like 100 feet tall in the back office and you're like this young enterprising like manager.
I can see
Yeah.
it. It's like gonna
With some Miyazaki style.
Oh yeah, like
Um,
Kiki's delivery service. No,
yeah.
I see it. It's the next pivot. Anyways, yeah. So now let's pivot to I guess no doubt the topic that Matt and I are both the most curious about and what you started off with, which is Hasa House.
Mhm.
So tell us about how this idea came to be and how things are going right now.
Yeah.
This is your platform to pub and advertise as well. So don't hold back.
Yeah, I would say like definitely Hasa House is a very cool idea, and I can't believe that it's finally came to fruition and is about to really open doors like in less than a month. So how this idea came about was around a year and a half ago. So, obviously I opened the restaurant for my investor. So now I've definitely gained enough trust with this investor. So at the time, my investor actually asked me that like one of his friends is interested in opening a fitness place in Shanghai. And he asked me to like go check out this business pitch that the friend has proposed. So I read the business pitch and the friend is not from Shanghai. So the business pitch was not really applicable to like the Shanghai marketplace, I think. And it could definitely be elevated and a lot better. So I kind of just snatched one of my like, one of the business pitches that I done like 6 years ago, anxiously at night. So actually Hasa House was one of the pitch that I wrote like 6 years ago when I first came to Shanghai.
Gosh.
Actually. Yes. It's an old business pitch resurfaced because now I happen to have the investment, have the resource, and have the industry knowledge. It's a full circle back moment.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Yeah, it was crazy to me. And again, it was kind of like this moment where I thought to myself, okay, if not now, then when? So I was like super ambitious. I was like, hey, like, why don't we just do one ourselves? Like, we don't need your friends. Like I have a better idea that I had 6 years ago. So I reworked this idea. It wasn't all that smooth. Also, the business pitch from the first time I sent it to him, it was like Christmas 2024, I believe. So the pitching process took like half a year. So till like last summer was like when it was finally kind of like approved. And that's around the time we found the location. And the location is also another kind of like reason why I was more sure about like doing this project and being more set on it. Because I think for any sort of traditional businesses like restaurants or fitness places or anything, location is really the first thing you should go about, looking at. It's really the most important piece. So I found this, I was just one day cycling past Donghu Road because I live really close. And I saw that, oh wow, a lot of things are teared down. Are they going to build something new here? It was very early on, I think like spring last year. And I asked one of my friends who work for JLL, a real estate company. And then he happened to know the landlord that's working on this developer project on Dohu Road that I saw cycling past. So that's how I got connected to the landlord, and I pitched this idea to the landlord. And the landlord is actually a restaurateur himself as well. He owns a few restaurants on Dohu Road, such as Blas, Babar, Pepite, and Fondue Hot Pot. So he's super experienced in the restaurant space. He loved Hasa House idea, and so it was like kind of like a stars aligned moment where, okay, wow, the dots are connecting. Like I feel like it's the right time, right people, right location. So I got to do this. So I actually partner up with my landlord to work on the Hasa kitchen part of the project. And I partner up with my co-founder, Nick and Queenie, to work on the Hasa active aspect of the project. So I guess going back, I can explain a little bit more about what Hasa House is and what we offer. So Hasa House is meant to be this very holistic wellness experience where it's not just about working out, not just about like, recovering, not just about eating well. It's about everything combined. So we really wanted to make this compact space where people can, after a workout, they meet up with some friends, have a coffee, maybe also have lunch upstairs, and later at night or in the afternoon, enjoy a happy hour drink and listen to some vinyl music. So we really believe that all these components are a part of wellness. It's not just one thing, right? So that's where the idea came about. And so under Hasa House, there's 5 sub-brands. There's Hasa Kitchen, and then there's Hasa Active, which is the fitness side of things. There is Hasa Circle, which is our community and membership. And then there's Hasa Collective. We do also have our own clothing line and accessories. And then lastly, we have Hasa Groove, which is our fun like DJ nights, and like we have a vinyl station upstairs because we really believe having fun is a part of wellness. So yeah,
sure. Bringing people together.
So this is the story of Hasa House, and I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity and be able to find the location and find the right partners. And
it's such a great location, and I look forward to the food, healthy, delicious food, because there are only so many options, in Shanghai. So
So what's the vision for Hasa House? Where do you see it, and what's the ultimate goal for this? Where do you see it and like yourself in a few years?
So I definitely have a lot of ambition for Hasa House. So as we mentioned, like Hasa House really is the first social fitness club, a space that's very holistic. We have different components. So I really envision Hasa House to be a ultimate lifestyle brand, like almost like Soho House in Hong Kong or like Lululemon, for example. Those are the brands we're really benchmarking off of. We don't want this just to be a retail space. We want this to be to kind of like encompass and represent a certain lifestyle of like having fun and not compromising on taste when you eat healthy food. And you should recover and go do a cold plunge and sauna after a workout. So for us, it's all about balance. And I want this to be a lifestyle brand that encourage people to treat a healthy lifestyle as a balanced lifestyle. And in terms of like business development, I definitely want this to scale. So we would, potentially have smoothie bars all around Shanghai that's under the Hasa House brand. We will have like different gym concepts and spaces. So because we have so many sub-brands, I think the opportunity to scale is very vast. And that's my ultimate vision for Hasa House.
Awesome. Yeah. I was like super interested in this concept the first time I heard about it. I mean, I'm into fitness a little bit, but I think for me, just like seeing opportunities to bring people together and that coming into contact with like a physical space, like there are endless possibilities. And I think like a term that gets thrown out a lot these days is like a third space, which is like a space, I guess, in between like your workplace and then your home. And I feel like that's something that is perhaps less seen maybe in like Shanghai or like other tier one Chinese cities
Yeah.
versus maybe other cities around the world. But I do think that it is a necessity, and it is something that would do quite well and serve quite a strong purpose in a city like Shanghai. And I think Hasa House is like the perfect place to build that kind of cove for people to come together and to connect and to, you know, bask in wellness together and just socialize as well. Right. So
Yeah,
I think it's going to
sure.
do quite well, and I hope to bring more friends over and maybe even help out with events in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I love how you mentioned the term third space. I exactly agree with that 100%. I think more and more, as the job market is changing really quickly in China, because of the AI introduction and just even like the way people work. And, on top of that, like people are starting to develop like more diverse interest and hobbies in China. So I think with
Hmm.
all that combined, I think young people are definitely looking for a third space where they can work, they can have a conversation, they can be inspired and yeah, live well and have some fun.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, for sure. All in for your vision. All right. Now, just to wrap up our story, then, since you've obviously garnered a very diverse array of experiences from so many different places, different countries, different cultures, careers, what are some pieces of feedback or wisdom you would give for our younger listeners here, or older listeners, or anyone curious? What are your takeaways?
Yeah, I would say like I wouldn't say my advices will work on everybody, but if you are a overthinker like me, if you tend to people please and you tend to get stressed out a lot and have a lot of anxious thoughts, I guess I would give three like mindset tools and like the way I navigate these anxious thoughts. I think that will help a lot. So the first is to focus more on the process, not just the results, right? Because I feel like a big part of living is really about like um, the the process, not really about the ultimate achievement or the moment you get a result. Because that's results are only last for a brief moment. But the most time consuming part is like when you're out and about and doing these things. So when you focus too much on the result, I guess you're never satisfied. You never look back and think, oh, wow, I've already achieved so much. And I've already learned so much during the process. And even though like a lot of the time the results are not always golden, it's not always what you expected, there's still a lot that came your way during the process. And I think people should not disregard that. And I think people should shine more light on the process for sure.
Hmm.
Um, I think that helps to prevent burnout for sure. Cause yeah, back then I used to like focus on my achievements a lot. If I didn't get what I expected to get, I would be really like, um, negative about myself, have a lot of cynical self talks, and it's not that healthy. So I think, yeah, think more of the
Yeah.
process. And the second thing is, I think to think big because a lot of the times the small hiccups during the day bother me a lot and gets me overthinking a lot. And I think I would just ask myself, hey, like, would I even remember this and feel the same way in a week or in 5 years? Like, I probably forget about this.
Hmm.
So a lot of the times we think like the things, for example, someone made a terrible comment about you today, or your boss just scolded you today, and you would feel like this is the end of the world. I'm done. Or like I made a bad career choice. I went to this company and I shouldn't have. I mean, like in 5 years, like would this matter? Even for Hasa House, right? Like, maybe for in 5 years, Hasa House will look very different from how it looks now. Not everything has to be set and perfect in this moment. So yeah, think big.
Hmm.
Last one is a framework that I learned from a recent book I read. I love the book and I would recommend the book to any overthinkers like me. The book is called Are You Mad at Me by Meg Josephson. Yeah, I know speak so hard already.
I need to get that. Yeah.
Me
Are
too.
you also an overthinker, Matthew?
Yeah. Too much. Too much
Okay.
noise all the time. Yeah.
Okay, you should read the book. It's great. So the framework that I got from it is nicer. It stems from being nicer to yourself, but also nicer as in like N is notice. So it's like a process of navigating anxious thoughts. So whenever you have an anxious thoughts arise, first like you notice it, like you simply just let it exist. Just okay, I'm thinking about this person made a comment on what I said today. Okay, I noticed that gives me a lot of anxiety. That's first. Second, I is invites. So instead of like kind of just disregarding it or like feel ashamed by having this thought, let it come in, like be like invite it over, be like, okay, great, I'm sitting with this anxious thought. C is for curiosity. Instead of like talking, you know, talking like shit about it or like, disregarding it, just be curious about it. Like, why am I thinking this right now? Why, like, I'm just eating dinner. Why am I thinking about what the person said to me just earlier this afternoon? Maybe ask like curious questions like, okay, is this maybe from a triggering piece of memories from childhood? Is this a automatic like survival response from you? Is this just your younger self trying to protect you? So be curious. And then E stands for embrace. Embrace this like younger self, right? Embrace the fact that you're trying to protect yourself and you try to survive. And maybe this anxious thought is just trying to like make you feel better or no, maybe try to protect you. So embrace it. And then finally, R stands for return. After you go through this entire process, you take a deep breath and then realize that you are doing whatever you're doing right now. Like right now, I'm eating dinner. Right now, I'm washing dishes. Like you are living in this present moment and your thought doesn't define what you're doing and who you are and the life you have. So yeah, it's like a nicer framework process that I've been using this a lot recently, ever since I read the book, and it's really been helping a lot. So I would recommend anybody to try this out.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for like talking us through the entire framework, especially a lot of people who aren't into reading books. I think you've also given them what they need to know to try this out if, they're also dealing with kind of these invasive thoughts, which I think everybody deals with to a certain extent. And yeah, I think it connects with a lot of the things that I've read in the past about like mindfulness practice and that kind of like mental well-being and how to how to kind of stay with uncomfortable thoughts without letting them consume you. And that's probably those are a lot of skills that they don't teach you in business school, which are very useful
No.
for people who want to work on very ambitious and entrepreneurial projects where there's a lot of uncertainty. So thanks again for
Yeah.
sharing those takeaways. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. So around the end here, we offer our guests an opportunity to set a category for something that they would like to recommend. And then so you
Okay.
can come up with the category and then give your recommendation. And then Susan and I will also try our best to come up with our own recommendations based off of your category. So when you're ready, feel free to share what it is that you like to recommend.
Okay, that's fun. I guess we can go with something more lighthearted since we talked a lot of like deep emotion stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Since I love coffee and bakeries and going around town to like search for good bakeries and coffee shops, the category is top 3 coffee shops in your city. I know Matthew and I live in the same city, so I will go first so you overlap with me.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then
I'm gonna note these down for like when I'm back because I'm a coffee snob, so
yeah,
I'm ready.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
Susan, you can maybe recommend it in Boston, right? To
There are
whoever is,
none, but go ahead.
or you can also, yeah. So I guess the first one is T12. It's a pretty hidden like, gem kind of coffee shop. It's near on Jianguo Xilu if you live in Shanghai. And they're really serious about coffee. And in the shop, there will be a lot of signs saying like, be quiet, no pictures. Because they want to avoid a lot of like those influencers, just coming to take photos. So they
Yeah.
are quite serious about, their beans. So they have a variety of SOE options and like blends and pour over as well. And their flat white is probably, I would say, the best I've had in Shanghai.
Hmm.
The consistency of the milk is just very on point. Yeah, so overall, great coffee place. They also have really great homemade scones. So if you're a fan of scones, then you should also go check it out. Second one is Radar Coffee. It's also a hole in a wall place, very close to where I live on Sinan Road. They don't really have any seats, maybe like one or two stools in front of the shop. You will have to like stand around or like sit on the curbs. But it's like a one man business. It's literally ever only been this one barista, one business owner operating the entire shop. And they have the longest list of beans I've ever seen. I think they probably also do coffee bean supply business.
Oh, okay.
So if you want like a big selection of beans, you should go there and check it out. And then lastly, wow, that's a lot. Maybe daydreaming. For them, I think it's more of the vibe. So not many coffee bean options, but if you want a good place to work and get into the flow state, that coffee shop is my like go-to Monday afternoon work coffee shop. Their music is like they play a lot of like lo-fi hip hop and like flow state music, and you really get into the zone. It's almost magical there. So yeah, those are my top
I
three.
gotta check that out. Susan, do you
All
want to
right.
go?
Sure. Okay. So Boston doesn't have great coffee. I live on the Cambridge side, so even less so. So I'm gonna give it a twist. I'm gonna give one coffee rec from the 3 cities I've lived in the most recently. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Well, right now, Cambridge, not a lot of great bean options, I'd say. My favorite place is a place called Pepita. I live pretty close to it. It's run by this brewery called Lamplighter, and so they're like usually a brewery at night, and then during the daytime they open up like the cafe, and they use beans from a local roaster. It's called Broadsheet Coffee Roaster. So they're one of the only decent bean suppliers in the area, I would say. So yeah, like decent beans. I just like that it's open late because it is a brewery. Because a lot of places here close at like 3 p.m. So the fact that this place is open in the evening means I could just like work there like all day. And so
Yeah.
that's like my go-to. They can do proper latte art, which I can't say the same for many places here. So I know it's like a pretty low bar to hit, but yeah, would recommend. Then okay, most recent cities. Well, Shenzhen, that's where I spent the last year and a half before moving to Boston or moving back to Boston. Shenzhen, you have a pretty saturated coffee market, lots of like really quick places that gives you like that cheap like 9 RMB shot of espresso. I'd say my favorite place is probably it's a cafe in my neighborhood called Fumin Coffee and Bagel, because they actually opened I lived in Shenzhen 5 years ago as an intern. So I like saw it open, and I used to work there all the time because they had like fast Wi-Fi. And so I would get these like cups from them. They have nice beans. They used to do like good pastries and homemade cake. And like I knew the owner a little bit. So every time I revisited Shenzhen, I would go there again. And then later when I moved back there for work, I actually lived like right above. So yeah, it's just like a nice little neighborhood cafe in Futian district. So if anyone is ever there. And my final rec would be from Beijing, 'cause that's the city where I'm probably visit the most often, spend the most time in. And Beijing has a lot of good options, I'd say. And I'm probably out of the scene for a bit, but if I really like this place called Wutong Cafe in Wudaoying Hutong, just because I do like the vibes of Wudaoying quite a lot. And Wutong's one of the older cafes, because these places they come and go all the time, but Wutong's been there for a long time. And I used to work there for like the afternoon before going to my night shift at the theater I worked at in Beijing. And so it's a nice memory of like going there, drinking their like fancy but expensive little cup of toutiao, and then biking to the theater and spending my evening there with my friends. So it's just like a nice memory thing. So Yeah, my top 3 from 3 cities.
Nice.
Nice.
All right.
Very well traveled.
Well, Matt, you can
All
give
right,
Beijing
I
Rex
can
too if you want.
Okay, if you don't like have any other Shanghai
I can
Oh,
I,
Shanghai
I
is
can
so
do Shanghai
saturated.
Rex, but
yeah.
slightly different perspective as someone who doesn't drink coffee really. So my top 3 cafes, the criteria will just be if this is a chill place to work or hang out,
Okay.
and if it's relatively close to my apartment. So take that for what you will. But yeah, I'm a freelancer, so I'm constantly looking for places to work that are not my apartment because there are a lot of distractions, and hopefully Hasa can also be another option in the future.
Exactly.
So yes, so my first recommendation will be a place called Bread ETC. So it
Mm,
was a chain. It's a very spacious, big kind of brunchy bakery slash cafe. Has a
mm-hmm.
nice outdoor area, so when the weather's nice, it's nice to sit out there. I don't like cafes that are like really scrunched together because I don't want to be super close to a bunch of other people
The
while I'm like
humans.
trying to work or read. Yeah. So that's great. That's a great go-to, and the food is very consistent and decent as well.
Who was there
The
last
second
time? Thanks
place,
for the rec.
yeah, yeah. The second place I'd recommend is a smaller cafe called Silex Gourmet. So they have a really beautiful garden. So I wouldn't recommend this place, I guess, if it's like the weather is too cold or if it's raining. But if it is nice outside, they have a beautiful garden, super well maintained, nice tables and chairs, great sunshine. It just like feels like a private garden, but it's an open cafe area.
Well,
And they also have decent baked goods, I think, as well. And then the third place, I think, is a place near, I think it's close to where Henry lives. I think it's called The Geographer. It's also a larger kind of cafe. I just like
mm-hmm.
the aesthetic, and there are a lot of kind of more private nooks and crannies for people to work where you don't have to really be too close to other people or listen to their conversations. So that's
Mm,
why I like it. And yeah, that's all for me then.
yeah. I feel like Matt's
Cool.
criteria are very like clear. It's like has to be spacious and like has to meet
No, I
people.
appreciate that. No, I love a good spacious coffee shop.
Yeah.
Outlets, bathrooms, all of
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I used to CAD from cafes, which like you need like so much space to like
My
set the
goodness.
whole thing up. But yeah. Anyways, then yeah, let's wrap up. So thank you all for the recs. I'm definitely saving all the Shanghai recs. Well, I was saving them as we spoke on Dianping, so I'll make sure to hit those up next time I'm in town. All right, so that's a wrap on today's episode of Liminal Space, where we navigate the thresholds of culture, identity, and experience. If our conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, or share your own story. We'd love to hear what you've discovered in the spaces in between. Join us next time as we continue to explore what it means to live in the liminal. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you guys.
Bye. Thank you.